Oh, I've got 5 people in my family.
That's true.
And there's not one of them that I'd ever swap.
Oh, no.
There is a sister
And 2 brothers.
and a mother.
And a pop.
That's him.
Hi, everybody. Do you know what today is? No, I sure don't. Did you forget what today is? Yep, let's see. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. No. It's something special. No. It's Nathan's birthday. Really? Yeah, it's Nathan's birthday. You've been sleeping. I sure have. Well, we're going to sing happy birthday to Nathan. He's 8 years old today. So will you help me sing, Papa? Sure. I don't sing very good, but I'll help you. Okay, let's sing. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Nathan. You sing pretty good. Happy birthday to you. Wow, I hope he has a good day. He's going to come over later. Yep, and we're going to play some games and have fun. And wow, I wish I was 8 again. Me too. But then we wouldn't be married and be sweethearts. So you sit here and watch and listen while I read a story about the BFG, okay? Okay. Happy birthday, Nathan. La 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 la. Okay. Well, I'm going to finish the chapter about the Bloodbottler. Do you remember that one? But first of all, I'll review. Remember when Sophie was in her house? She was actually in an orphanage. And it was such a quiet night. Excuse me. She decided to go look out the window. And when she slid under the curtain and looked out on the window, there was something very big out in the street. She couldn't tell what it was, but it looked like a giant. And it was 4 times taller than any human she had ever seen. And he had a trumpet and a suitcase. And remember, he blew something into the Gucci children's window. And because Sophie saw him, and she knew that the giant knew that she had seen him, he came and snatched her out of bed. She was peeking out of her blanket. But then pretty soon the winds got so strong, she had to duck down, and she was afraid of what? She was afraid he was going to eat her when he got home. And when they slowed down and got home, she saw a mountain in the distance, and the BFG rolled the stone away and set her down in there. And look at all the jars. At that time, Sophie didn't know what those jars were. She couldn't really figure it out. Like, where was she? Well, finally, when the giant started talking to Sophie, he explained that he wasn't going to eat her, that he didn't eat human beings, and that the other giants did, but he was a nice and jumbly giant. And they told each other their names. Hi, I'm the BFG. Hi, I'm Sophie. And Sophie didn't feel so afraid then, but he let her peek out the cave. And I only drew 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, but there were actually 9 giants out there. 9 giants. And he told her that she should never go out without him because they would just gobble her up. And every night they were off running, galloping off to eat other human beings. Then he told her about his marvelous ears. And you know what? Sophie told him that she was an orphan because he wondered if she would miss her parents. And so she explained about living in the orphanage and how they didn't treat her real good. And you know what? The BFG actually started crying. And then he told her about his dreams, and he told her he could hear all sorts of marvelous things. He could even hear ants talking. Wow. Have you ever heard an ant talk? I haven't. And then he talked to her about snozcumbers. That was the only food that he had to eat. It was the only vegetable that grew in giant country, and he ate that because he didn't want to eat human beings. And he told Sophie that would be all that she would be able to eat, and he had her try a bite. Did she like it? No, she spit it out, and she thought it tasted like frog skins and rotten fish. So when we were reading the last chapter called the Bloodbottler actually came into the cave. Do you remember that? The BFG was actually trying to distract him and thought that he would get him to taste a snozcumber so that he wouldn't look around the cave and find Sophie. But do you remember where Sophie had climbed? Yes, she had climbed into the snozcumber, and the BFG didn't know that. So, this is what the Bloodbottler said. "So this is the filthing, rotsome glubbage you was eating? You must be cockles to be guzzling such rub squash." For a moment, the Bloodbottler seemed to have forgotten about his search for Sophie. The BFG decided to lead him further off the track. "That is the scrum-diddly-umptious snozcumber. I is guzzling it gleefully every night and day. Is you never trying a snozcumber, Bloodbottler?" "Human beans is juicier," the Bloodbottler said. "You is talking rummy tot." He was thinking that if only he could get the Bloodbottler to take one bite of the repulsive vegetable, the sheer foulness of its flavor would send him bellowing out of the cave. "I is happy to let you sample it," the BFG went on. "But please, when you see how truly glumptious it is, do not be guzzling the whole thing. Leave me a little snitchet for my supper." The Bloodbottler stared suspiciously with small piggy eyes at the snozcumber. Sophie, crouching inside the chewed-off end, began to tremble all over. "Oh, you is not switch-fiddling me, is you?" the Bloodbottler said. "Never," cried the BFG. "Take a bite, and I am positive you will be shouting out, 'Oh, how scrum-diddly-umptious this wonder veg is.'" The BFG could see the Bloodbottler's mouth. It was beginning to water more than ever at the prospect of extra food. "Vegetables is very good for you," the BFG went on. "It's not healthsome always to be eating meaty things." "Just this once," said the Bloodbottler. "I is going to taste this rotsome eats of yours. But I is warning you. If it is filthsome, I is smashing it over your sludgy little head." He picked up the snozcumber. He began raising it on its long journey to his mouth, some 50 feet up in the air. Sophie wanted to scream, "Don't!" But that would have been an even more certain death. Crouching among the slimy seeds, she felt herself being lifted up and up and up. Oh, suddenly there was a crunch as the Bloodbottler bit a huge hunk off the end. Sophie saw his yellow teeth clamping together just a few inches from her head. Then there was utter darkness. She was in his mouth. She caught a whiff of his evil-smelling breath. It stank of bad meat. She waited for the teeth to go crunch once more. She prayed that she would be killed quickly. Roared the Bloodbottler. "Ugh, belch! And then he spat. All of the great lumps of snozcumber that were in his mouth, as well as Sophie herself, went shooting out across the cave. If Sophie had struck the stony wall of the cave, she would most certainly have been killed. Instead, she hit the soft folds of the BFG's black coat, hanging against the wall. She dropped to the ground. She was half stunned. She crawled under the hem of the cloak, and there she crouched. "You little swine bugler," roared the Bloodbottler. "You little pig swiller." He rushed at the BFG and smashed what was left of the snozcumber over his head. Fragments of the filthy vegetables splashed all over the cave. You is not loving it?" the BFG asked innocently. "Loving it? That's the most disgusterous taste that is ever touching my teeth. You must be buggles to be swallowing sludge like that. Every night you could be galloping off, happy as a hamburger and gobbling juicy human beans." "Eating human beans is wrong and evil," said the BFG. "It is guzzly and glumptious. And tonight I is galloping off to Chile to swabble a few human chili beans. Is you wishing to know why I is choosing Chile?" "I is not wishing to know anything," the BFG said, very dignified. "I is choosing Chile because I is fed up with the taste of Eskimos. It is important I have plenty of cold eats in this scuddling hot weather. And the next coldest thing to an Eskimo is a chili bean. Human beans from Chile is very chilly." "Horrible," the BFG said. "You ought to be ashamed. Other giants is all saying they was wanting to gallop off to England tonight to guzzle school chidblers." I is very fond of English school chidlers. They has a nice inky booky flavor. Perhaps I will change my mind and go to England with them. You is disgusting, the BFG said. And you is an insult to the giants people, shouted the Bloodbottler. You is not fit to be a giant. You is a squinky little squiddler. You is a pibbling little pipsqueak. You is a cream puffnut. With that, the horrible, blood-bottling giant strode out of the cave. The BFG ran to the cave entrance and rolled the stone back into place. Sophie, Sophie, he whispered. Sophie, where is you? Sophie emerged from under the hem of the black cloak. I'm here, she said. The BFG picked her up and held her tenderly in the palm of his hand. Oh, I is so happy to be finding you all in one lump. I was in his mouth, Sophie said. You was what? Said the BFG. Sophie told him what had happened. And there I was, telling him to eat the filthsome snozcumber, and you was all the time inside it, the BFG cried. Not much fun, Sophie cried. Oh, just look at you, you poor little chidler, cried the BFG. You was all covered in snozcumber and giant spit. He set about cleaning her up the best he could. I is hating these other giants now more than ever. You know what I should like? What? Sophie said. I should like to find a way of disappearing them, everyone. I'd be glad to help you, said Sophie. Let me see if I can't think up of a way of doing it. And this is a drawing I did of the Bloodbottler. It said the Bloodbottler unexpectedly came into the cave. He thought the BFG was talking to a human. The BFG convinced him to try a snozcumber, not realizing Sophie had hid inside it. He spit it all out. Can you see him spitting out Sophie? Oh, how would you have liked to have been in his mouth? Oh, that is so disgusting. Oh, my goodness. And the next book I'm going to read is a short one called People in My Family. This is an old book. I've had this from when my other children were little. I've got 5 people in my family, and those 5 people make me glad. How many people do you have in your family? Can you count them? Mommy, Daddy, yourself. Think about who else is in your family. Well, this one, there's 5 in their family. There's a sister and 2 brothers. And they're all helping. And a mother and a dad. Oh, and look at Daddy's helping with cooking. That's so nice. 5 is such a pretty number. I'm awfully glad that I have 5 people in my family. Can you count to 5 with me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a great number. I've got 5 monsters in my family, and we all have lots of fun. 5 monsters. Furry wife and scary husband. Ooh. Fuzzy daughters, hairy son. Oh, look at that. 5 is such a scary number. Oh, I'm so glad that I have 5 monsters in my family. Can you count with me to 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're going somewhere special, aren't they? 5 is such a pretty number. I'm awfully glad that I have 5 fingers on each hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and look at, what are they having? They're having a party, and today I'm having a little party with Nathan and his family. He's got 5 in his family, and Papa and I just make 2. Oh, 5 is such a pretty number. I'm awfully glad that I have 5 people in my family. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, look at that party. And how many is 5 plus 5? 5 people and 5 monsters. Let's count and see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I want to wish Nathan a happy birthday again. 8 is very great, Nathan. And I remember when I was 8, That's hard to believe, but I do. So I'm going to send 8 kisses because Nathan's 8 today. See if you can catch them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and here's the last one. I love you all. Bye.
Hey.